Okay, welcome to the Vital Zoom podcast, our first ever one. We have a special guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Yaser Gholami. I'm a Sydney Vital Fellow. I'm a physicist, and I'm working in the field of applied physics in medicine.
Okay. And so say if you were in a bar and you were asked by a person serving drinks behind the bar, what was the purpose of your research and what would you tell them? So if someone that didn't know about the research kind of background or what would you tell them? How would you put it in terms where they'll be able to understand?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, is to be able, as a scientist, to explain to a not scientist person or someone without any scientific background about what we're doing. I think itself, it's interesting and important. So I would basically just say that, we are scientists working on treating cancer, fighting against cancer. I think that's the easiest way to explain. And I would say, as a physicist, what we do is basically trying to find innovative ideas and creative ideas on how we can improve the cancer detections, early detections, and also treating cancer or patients, with cancer.
And definitely, I find it so hard to kind of even what I do. I find it so hard to kind of explain to people because especially my grandparents, they just think like, oh, he works with computers
Exactly.
It's like anyone kind of in this day and age just works with computers if they do any sort of like marketing, media, and like anything really. They just think that. So it's kind of hard to kind of explain to someone what like what you do to a T almost.
Yeah, I think, there's a scientific level to it, and there is a level where you can just generally talk about the aim of what you're doing. And I think that's what also matters for other people when they ask you, those sort of questions. Is just, basically saying that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help patients with cancer. And that is obviously, it has a lot of, details in it, but
No, definitely. Yeah. So when you were in school, what did you want to be? Did you always want to be end up in a career like you?
That's actually a cool question. To be honest, I never thought that I would be who I am today. I used to work in a second-hand shop, second-hand bookshop, selling books, second-hand books, and I used to read a lot of books about physics. All those famous physicists, and I got just interested in physics, but also I was interested in human science as well, like philosophy and social work. And I always loved to, be involved in, some humanitarian work. So I remember when I got into like my undergrad degree, that's why I tried to do a double degree of, social science and physics, because I still wanted to do both. And then eventually when, I finished my undergrad and I went to my master's degree, I realized that, if I do what like I'm doing now, which is applied physics in medicine, I can have both. I can utilize my passion and love in physics in something that is, that can help humanity. And I think this was like a kind of a becoming process eventually, which was But I never thought, one day I'll be, working in this field, this is specific field.
Yeah, so it's just steady kind of like different interests, like you see, like pick up different skills along the way, and then you. But I thought,
exactly.
I thought like so I'm 24, and I find like say like when people just finish uni almost, that I think they're a bit lost and they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing and stuff like that. But it's like I feel like you just got to try things and then pick up different skills and just kind of get in there rather than trying to find like the perfect job. Whereas not any job, but any job within kind of a rough sector can help you along the way, almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, on during this all time to get to my current position, as
Yeah.
you said, I've done a lot of different things. Like I did physics, philosophy, politics,
Yeah.
so many different other subjects, radiochemistry. Like as you said, like I just did whatever um, that it could help with achieving my goal. And I think creativity is always comes from doing things outside of the box. So as a
Yeah.
physicist, if you write poetry, let's
Yeah.
say, yeah, believe me, that will help. Like if you do
Yeah.
painting, if you have a great and a strong imagination, that's what is going to help a
Yeah.
scientist. And to have that imagination, you have to try different things. You have to, as you were saying, you
Yeah.
have to try different things.
Yeah. And that's going to kind of put you at an advantage
Yeah,
over certain people, because they might not know about poetry, which you
exactly.
might be able to use in some way.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
and it changes your mindset and attitude,
Yeah.
because, what I think in our century is missing, in terms of just the scientific community, is the attitude. You've got to have the right attitude. And if we have the right attitude, a lot of good stuff can come out of it, scientifically,
Yeah.
philosophically. But a lot of this, attitude, I think, has been destroyed by the commercializations and the industry and the pressure of, just making money,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas you need to kind of enjoy
Yeah,
what you do and be passionate about what you do. So
exactly,
could you
exactly.
like tell us why you're so passionate about your research?
Yeah,
Is there,
I mean, I think I kind of mentioned that in the
yeah.
previous questions, where you know I really loved physics since I was a
Yeah.
child. I was fascinated about studying, how the universe worked. But at the same time, I had this passion for, doing human science and doing humanitarian, works. And the best way that I could combine these two passions was, doing nuclear, applied physics in medicine, which means like
Yeah.
I can do things that I love, but at the end, out of this, I can, help someone.
Yeah.
So it's not only purely my passion, but also something that I can contribute to the
Yeah.
society.
So,
But yeah,
so why cancer? Almost, is it just because it blends the two like the best? Like why cancer research instead of kind of
oh yeah,
maybe another?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good question. Why just cancer research? I think that's if you look as I said, I did some politics when I was
Yeah.
an undergrad, and when you're too young, sometimes you're too passionate and ambitious that you think, I want to change the world. I want to
Yeah.
change it to a better place. And that's where you're going to think about all different, possibilities and options that you've got. Maybe I could do politics, get into the politics, and I can change the world, somehow. But when you're really doing, when you study more and you think about it, you see that it's actually very difficult. And the best thing you can do is, the easiest or the least that you can do for humanity. And that is, what's better than, helping a family who's got a sick father or a sick mother that
Yeah.
got, cancer. And if you can help with that and, help with treating that patient, you actually basically has helped the whole family, and when they become happy, I think that's the best reward that I can think of, that one day I've made a family happy with
Yeah.
my work. And I think if you can change a family from
Yeah.
sadness to happy, I mean, if you can change one family like that,
Yeah.
you basically
Yeah.
you change the world,
Yeah.
in a
If
way.
we all did that, so
Exactly.
yeah.
It is really rewarding, in my
Yeah.
opinion, and that's why I really loved,
Yeah.
working in the cancer research field.
Yeah. Yeah. So within cancer research, is there is there kind of a role where you can be a bit creative, or um, like, is there a chance to be a bit creative within it? You know?
I think that's the essential element of it.
Yeah.
You have to be creative. And, I always believe that, through all this research and then study I've done, as I mentioned, at some point in the cancer research field, because of the commercializations and, industrializations, we have rushed in so much from moving from fundamental science into clinical practice. And through that transitions, we have lost, we haven't fully utilized this, fundamental science. And I think that's why, we lack of actually now there are lack of creativity. And the reason for it is because we haven't fully utilized this, transitions or translational path. I believe in order to be very successful and effective in this field, you have to be really creative. You have to bring, physics, chemistry, biology, oncology. You've got to bring all this together so you can come up with a very innovative ideas that you can, fight against cancer. So it is an essential element of it.
So is there a lot of kind of collaboration, and so
Absolutely.
working? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, for my PhD, I did. I had lots of chapters. I had chapters on radiochemistry, nuclear physics, radiation physics, radiation biology, Monte Carlo simulations. I had to learn all these, skills and work on different fields, multidisciplinary fields, in order to come up with an innovative ideas that can improve the current cancer imaging and therapy. So you're right, definitely right.
Yeah. And when you went over to America?
Yes, I went to Boston to Harvard University twice. I went there on 2016. That was during my PhD. So we had an invention on developing radio label nanoparticles for cancer imaging and therapy. So I worked very closely with my colleagues over there at Harvard Medical School. So we had I worked with, the radiochemist, with the medical imaging person, with the physicist, and not just, from different field, but as you mentioned, it was really good to have this international collaborations, working with, experts from Harvard Medical School. That was really good, great. And the last year on 2000, that was, I think, during July and August. I went there. I got a visiting scholar position, and we actually did further. I came up with a new theory, and I had the chance to use the facility to prove the theory. And the experiments really went well. The results are looking fascinating. And I just, writing a manuscript now to be sent to Nature Letter Journal. So we'll see how it goes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So have you found like different countries approach it in different ways, or is it all kind of pretty similar?
I think that at least comparing Australia with the US, that you could see some differences. You can feel some differences, and I think big part of it is, when you work in the lab, for example, the facilities of, let's say the physics, the chemistry, and the biology facilities with their equipments and resources. They're very accessible to, and very close to each other. Let's say, you want to do an experiment that it requires a physics lab, and then you need to do some chemistry afterward on the same day. And then you have to do a little bit of the biology in the biology lab, and then take whatever you prepared in an imaging facility to scan it straight away. You can have all of that within that one day. Whereas, a little bit of here, it's a little bit different, I think the design, the infrastructure as well is different. And I think that also plays a big role, the infrastructure of the laboratory and the research. And I think that it really helps with, coming up with innovative ideas, because you can combine all this field together efficiently. You can do things much more quicker,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever had kind of a eureka moment? So
Oh
you've been
yeah.
trying to figure this thing out, and then wow, you finally did it, and
Yeah. I had so many of those moments. So I just mentioned to you recently, I came up with this theory, and
yeah,
I went to Boston, and I tried it, and when I got the result, I was like, wow, it's exactly
yeah,
what I thought.
yeah,
And that's a very inspiring moment. It's just, you feel that, you just, you could read the mind of God.
yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, I had those moments,
Yeah,
number of
yeah,
those moments, and it was
yeah,
really, it's a great feeling. It's a great
yeah,
feeling,
yeah.
because, as I
I,
said, metaphorically, it seems like, you could read the mind of God, or
yeah, yeah. That's great. Hopefully, there's many more.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Um, so, what would you say kind of the downsides to your research plan, Parfa?
I think funding.
Yeah,
The one of the issue with the early career researchers like myself is the funding,
yeah,
because if you don't have funding, you cannot proceed with your experiments and your thoughts, um, and that is always the challenging part for someone like myself, who just graduated from PhDs and it's got like
mm,
a few years to develop his resume, to go to the next step. And that's the time where you're going to struggle to survive as a researcher,
yeah,
trying to find fundings from different sources, so you can continue your research, and hopefully going to the next step. So I would say
mm,
that's the most downside of my
yeah,
of this
yeah,
field, of the research field. Yeah.
yeah. What advice would you give for like upcoming researchers, so say like PhD students or maybe even younger?
Yeah, I always put this statement on my lectures for the students, and I think it's been this is my philosophy of life. At least for this, for the scientific side of it, and it's helped me it helped me a lot, and that's why I always mention this to my students, or as you say, for any young researchers that are going to be there for the next generation. And that is what the famous physicist Albert Einstein said: do not try to be the man of success, but try to be the man of value. And I really believe in that. I think that is the right attitude of doing research and science,
Mm,
because if you work for value, so the success will definitely be a consequence of it.
mm,
But if you just go for success, like making money or getting positions, or getting a title, which is kind of a success,
mm,
that not might may necessarily bring value for you. So um, that's why I always believe, to be a valuable person, that will bring everything with itself. Success, and everything.
yeah,
um, so I would say, try to be valuable, be
yeah,
valuable, love
yeah,
what you're doing, be passionate about what you're
mm,
doing. And
mm,
I think that would be a great uh, momentum for you to push
yeah,
you through this path.
yeah. And even like even if you giving out value, kind of you could change someone's life in that way as well. So um,
Absolutely.
even someone watching or listening to this right now could be thinking, oh, okay, and you just give them that little kind of boost they might need, or the little bit of
Yeah,
information they might need to kind of progress, and then they could find the next kind of
yeah,
big
absolutely.
research finding, or yeah. So it's just yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look,
mm,
that's absolutely right. Yes.
yeah. Um, and so what do you do outside of work? Do you have Any hobbies?
Well, yes, I used to play soccer in like professional level,
Oh, did you?
but I
Oh,
had a really bad injury. I had a torn meniscus, and I was away for a long time, 2 years. So currently, I'm just I got back to soccer. So I currently
yeah.
play at Sydney Uni,
Mm.
but I'm the director of a charity in Australia called
Oh, wow.
Oasis. Um, and I do write poetries, read a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of philosophy book. I
Yeah.
do a lot of paintings. Yeah,
Yeah. So what? You said you're a professional soccer player.
yeah.
If it was weird to say soccer, but football player.
Football player, exactly.
Yeah. um, what position did you play, or
I
what?
play a free wing, either striker or free wing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
free wing can play both, right
Yeah.
and left.
Yeah.
Or you could play as a striker as well, depending
Mm.
on the strategy that the coach would
Yeah.
come up with. But
Yeah.
they would, always love a free wing because they can change the position at
Yeah.
any time without making a sub.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're quick then.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm still very quick, Not as fast as before, but I remember, I used to play. We played against, I forgot the team's name, but I think it was possibly Bondi Sydney FC, and it was a very friendly match.
Yeah.
And through the half time, between the half time, one of the defenders came to me and he was joking. Was saying, "Man, I'm so tired. What did you have before the match?
Yeah.
Because I can't."
Uh,
Please, slow down, or at least
yeah.
play on one side. Do not just move around because I
Yeah.
can't keep up with you.
Yeah. Wow.
We're still friends, but
Yeah.
that was like a very funny memory of
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be very fast. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what did you play professionally in Australia?
In Iran,
Okay.
but also in Australia, I
Yeah.
played for UNSW. I played for Bondi Sydney FC.
Okay.
I played for few other clubs as well, but
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
with that injury and
Yeah.
then getting to PhD,
Yeah.
working hard, and eventually,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
because when you play professional soccer or football, it takes a lot of your time. So you've
Yeah.
got 1 day training, 1 day gym, and you've got your training with ball and without ball.
Yeah.
So it basically takes up of I think 4 days or 5 days of the week, and you've got 1 day match obviously as well.
Yeah.
So you can tell why you either have to choose professional football
Yeah.
as a job, or you have to do something else
Yeah.
because you can't pick both of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And
But that's good that you've got both kind of. You've,
yeah. I mean, still I'm playing, but
yeah.
as I
So,
said, I don't go too much. Like I'm not playing that professional level where
yeah.
you spend most of your time playing soccer.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
like 6 days a week, like full
Yeah.
8 hours a day or something. But I still
Yeah.
play. I still play
Yeah.
for Sydney Uni. I still
Oh, that's
play for other,
cool.
sometimes for um, other clubs as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's all
yeah,
about enjoying it. So,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Like that's
Yeah.
really important as well. As a scientist, I believe you should people should not be a nerd.
Yeah.
To not only study 24/7, and because as you said previously,
Yeah.
I believe in creative science.
Yeah.
I believe creativity is a big element in science. And again, as Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And I really, truly believe in that. And to bring this creativity and innovations, you need to be, you need to live. You can't
Yeah.
just, read and write 24/7. You got to go out, you have to have adventure. You have to do different things. And that will bring that will bring creativity in your mindset and your attitude. So I really believe, people have to, especially those who are doing science, they have to do different things. They have to do sports. They have to do,
Yeah.
things that they can enjoy. Basically, live your life as
Yeah. I
and do
think
science.
yeah. Well, I think there's not a better place to end it. And thanks so much for coming on
You're
to the
welcome.
podcast.
My pleasure. Thank
Um,
you very much. Thank you. It
no,
was a great pleasure to
yeah,
speak to you as well.
thank you. Good luck with your future endeavours and
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.